Okay, we're getting a thumbs up. It's time to start city council meeting. Thank you everyone for joining us in the council chambers on August 15th, 2023. We appreciate all of you inside the council chambers and watching on TV. To that note, before we get to an agenda item, Manager Seth Parents has let me know, and we'll remind you a few times throughout the night, but these mics are working for us, but for the TV, this white thing square in the middle of the room is what's picking up our voices on television, and it's a really good microphone. So, Dale, keep it down over there. Yep. The television audience will hear all of us, all of you, as speaking until we get this little snafu fixed. But that's a good mic, and it's picking up us and everybody in the room. So we'll try to remind that throughout the meeting as well.
Excuse me, Mayor. So if someone's talking out there just to each other,
Right.
I can also hear it?
It'll get it. It'll get it tonight. It usually won't get it, but yes, you'll get it on TV tonight.
We usually don't use it because of that reason. I call it the UFO mic. Is for a kind of a town hall kind of function, so where rather than passing around microphones and things like that, it really is going to be great for that kind of a feature whenever we ever want to use it. Tonight is saving our bacon. Internally, like you said, you can hear our voices just fine from these microphones, but we've been adjusting some of the cable work, and somewhere in the process, the contractor that was doing that work, in essence, severed the connection from our microphones to the broadcast booth, how they broadcast it out. So we just call it gremlins and move on.
Sure.
It could be interesting to hear what people call Shane in the
That's
audience.
it.
That might be
Black and white,
TV.
absolutely.
But
That's
in the interim, if you want to say something about Shane, just step outside. It'll be private, and the millions watching on.
Come to the way.
That's right. That's right. So there you go. There's your fair warning. Again, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll get right to it with what we do in Spanish Fork. We always pray and pledge allegiance, and so we've asked our superintendent of Needbo School District, Mr. Rick Nielsen, to join us tonight. Councilman Marshall has actually done that to ask him. Superintendent? Yes. So it was his assignment. We're thankful that you're here, and maybe Mr. Nielsen, if you'd come up and we ask you a few questions about school going back tomorrow, and then you could give us a motivational thought and prayer, if that's all right.
All right. You want the prayer first, or do you want the conversation first?
It's your way, however you'd like it.
Well, then let's pray so I sound intelligent.
I like it.
Is that all right? Thank you. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful unto Thee that we have the opportunity and the privilege of meeting tonight in these chambers. We're thankful unto Thee for our civic leaders. We're thankful that they have put themselves forward to render public service to this wonderful community. Pray that Thou would bless them in the disposition of their duties, that they'll be strengthened and edified by Thee. We're thankful for those that have put their names forward for the upcoming election, and pray that we may be civically minded and civilly minded as we go through that process in the coming months. We're thankful for the community in which we live, for the neighbors that we have, and for the great and bounteous blessings which we experience in this promised area of this great land. We are grateful unto Thee for the opportunities and the blessings that are ours, and pray that that would be upon this meeting tonight, that wise and prudent decisions may be made for the betterment of all. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, President Nielsen. Tell us a little bit, you've done this a few years where you went back to school. You've been the superintendent for how long of Needbo?
I am starting year 14 as superintendent at the school district, starting my 34th year in the education business. So years ago, I was a 6th grade teacher, and I'm still inclined to the 12-year-old, so I'm in great company here tonight. I'm ready for any kind of bad behavior that may come my way. So, but no, it's a great opportunity to have kids come back, and I've talked to some of my friends and colleagues in the audience, and tomorrow is a great day, isn't it? 36,000 kids are going to come back into the halls and the classrooms and ride buses in Nebo School District tomorrow. And we know some of our partner schools and charter schools and things have started earlier, so what a great week it is in this community. Kids back with adults that want to work hand in hand with parents to do good things for young people. So,
I thought about the questions to ask you
Yeah.
here, but what came to top of mind was simply maybe what do you or the teachers look forward to the most getting back to school, and what's, I don't know, what do you look forward to the least besides 12-year-olds, I guess? But-
oh, we look forward to 12-year-olds. That's maybe the most. You know, whenever we have a ribbon cutting of a school, I say a similar thing. But we build beautiful facilities. We build, well, go look at the new Spanish Fork High under construction, right? That we appreciate your help and cooperation on that project as well. But as much as I love the outer shell that we build, the spirit and the soul of any of those facilities are the people that are in them. And it's great to get the big people in. They bring a spirit and a soul themselves. But when the little people show up, and by little I mean everything preschool to high school and beyond, when the little people show up, just the life that breathes back into a school. There is nothing like being in a school on the first day of school. And so if tomorrow morning you're wanting a little pick-me-up, or anybody in our community wants to pick me up, you go watch the red carpet events that are going on as kids run into their classrooms and are greeted by adults who love them and are grateful to teach them. And again, working in partnership with parents to provide just world-class, outstanding educational experiences, opportunities, and really to ensure success for kids. So that's what I like. The kids are back. What I don't like, well, last year on the first day of school on my way to work, I was, I think, the first or second person upon a scene where a student in a crosswalk had been hit by a car. And so the reality of it is, for every day that we're in session, starting with me and my entire team, we're worried and anxious about kids. And we're hoping, praying literally, that people will be responsible. I sure hope that people pay attention to buses tomorrow. I really hope people pay attention to crosswalks and kids walking to school and riding their bikes and their scooters to school. I hope that big people are supporting little people with mental health challenges. I hope that big people are being wise and prudent in social media conversations so that we build our communities, so that we strengthen each other and strengthen our neighborhoods, strengthen our teachers. We should be talking positively about teachers and the great work that they do. I hope that we'll have civility in our hearts. Beyond that, I'm hearing now that we should have dignity. It should go beyond civility. We should have dignity towards each other. And so that's just always my hope, that as everybody comes back together after a summer of enjoying vacations and the chance to enjoy the outdoors and everything in this beautiful place where we live, that people will remember that relationships are what matter. And I always worry about that a little bit when everybody gets back together again. So that's maybe the thing that's always on my mind.
Well said. Any other questions for?
I've got a quick one.
You bet, absolutely.
Not right off the hook quite yet. So as you kind of mentioned this is the final year of the Spanish Fork High School.
Yeah.
It's the high school that I graduated from. It's the high school that my mom graduated from. So a lot of history have been in those walls. Are there any plans from the district as far as at the end of the year prior to demolition, anything that will take place with that school?
Yeah, first of all, this coming May will be my 40-year anniversary as a proud graduate of Spanish Fork High as well. So, yeah, I relate to lots of you when it comes to the hallowed halls of the current Spanish Fork High. So,
We'll leave the end of year celebrations to the school by and large. We really feel that schools are, I mean, the district is there to provide support to schools. Schools are there to be the lifeblood of the community, if you will. So we'll leave the specific things to the school. But I know that we're doing things like when we start to do demolition of the old Spanish Fork High, the intent right now is that pretty well every night, they'll put a pallet of bricks out and people can come and just take the bricks. People have said, are you gonna sell the bricks and those kinds of things? We're like, no, we're gonna give them away. The community built it 65 years ago. If the community wants to come and have a piece of Spanish Fork High, bricks specifically, they can come and do that. We gotta be a little mindful of crazy salvage stuff going on down there. We need people to be safe and things like that. But in short, I'm positive you'll see some end of year things sponsored by the high school, and then the district ensuring that people can have a piece of nostalgia from that Spanish Fork High that we love.
Great.
Yeah.
My dad graduated from Springville. I'm gonna get him a brick at Christmas.
There you go. There you go. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
We'll give you a whole wall of bricks.
I'm in.
My wife's a Springville High grad as well, so maybe I'll put a brick wall of Spanish Fork High bricks in my backyard or something.
Rick, I have two questions.
Yeah, please.
First, is there a theme this year? It seems like you guys normally have a theme.
Yeah.
And second, are there any employment opportunities? I believe you guys are one of the biggest employers in the valley.
Yeah. So let's talk employment first. So Nebo District is the 5th largest employer in all of Utah County. So your employers that are bigger than us are BYU, UVU, IHC, Alpine District, and then Nebo School District. Vivint's about right where we are too, but a lot of their employees, go out of the valley to work. So yeah, we're a big employer, we're about 4,800 employees. So yes, we always have employment opportunities. Go to www.nebo.edu and there's almost always a job posted. And if you want an amazing job, come to work serving kids, right? A lot of folks that want to be home with their kids at times when their kids are in school like working in schools because they can come and work in a technician job or be a custodian or teacher, administrator. They can do those jobs while their kids are in school. And then when their kids are home, in the evenings, weekends, and holidays, that they're off as well. So yes, we always have employment opportunities. To our theme this year is the gift of you. And so it's a John Denver song that lets you know that I graduated 40 years ago. Anyway, he's got a song called The Gift You Are, and it talks about just how each individual is really a gift to other individuals, is a gift to the community, is a gift to those that they serve. And so we're just really working hard this year to remind our employees that each one of them is a gift. They're a gift to those they work with, they're a gift to the kids that they serve, again, a gift to the entire community. So, yep, the theme this year is The Gift You Are.
I like it.
Thanks.
I have one question for you.
Yeah, please.
So we had the back to school meet the teachers on
Yeah.
the Sierra Bonita, where my kids attend, and
Yeah.
the buzz is real. I could
Yeah.
feel the excitement. Kindergarten all day starting
Yeah.
this year. How has the district prepared for that, and how many teachers or how many full-time or full-day kindergarten classes do we have across the district?
Yeah, I should have looked at that report. It's sitting in my car right now, more specifically, but fundamentally what we did is when we heard that full-day kindergarten was an option, we sat down in early spring and did some calculations, and we presumed that up to 80% of parents might opt into full-day kindergarten, but we decided strategically early on, this was in the spring, to staff for 60% of parents wanting full-day kindergarten. So we went out and hired, I think, 32 additional kindergarten teachers above and beyond the 60 that we had, so a 50% increase, if you will, in kindergarten teaching staff. We posted those jobs early on just because we wanted to be bold, and we've kind of been saying since the spring, if not that many folks want full-day kindergarten, we'll just have smaller class sizes. We're going to err on the side of kids, right? And get the adults in place. Interestingly enough, about 61 to 62% of folks that have registered their kindergartners so far have opted for full-day kindergarten. So our staffing ratio was really pretty well on target with what the requests have been so far. And so we've got that going. The nice thing for Nebo School District is for a lot of others, facility capacity was a concern with full-day kindergarten. How do you add 30 kindergarten classrooms? Well, when we went through that reconfiguration that put middle schools back in a few years ago, that freed up a lot of space in our elementary schools. So we actually, for the most part, had space available in our elementary schools to handle those new kindergarten classes. So we're super excited to get that rolling. Just for you and the general public to know as well, for the first term, we're going to be really fluid on if a mom and a dad are making a different decision for their kid. So if you get 2 weeks into the year and a parent is saying, oh man, I did full day and I don't know why I did, or the opposite, I did half day and I'd like to have full day, for the first term, we'll make that switch. They can just need to come in and talk to us, we'll make the adjustment. Now, we're not going to move kids back and forth, but you can do the one adjustment. After the first term, we're still willing to make the adjustments, but we'll do it at the term break, at the end of second, third, or fourth term, just for stability of instruction and frankly stability for kids as well. But yeah, we've had really good response, and we made a decision on August 1st, any mom and dad that had preferred full-day kindergarten. So we asked preferences. So if you had given us your preference prior to August 1st, those were all granted. So anybody that said full day before August 1st got full day. We have late registrations that come in, and at this point it's kind of on a space available basis, but we're able to accommodate most of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great questions.
I hope Callie, the mom of triplets, went for all-day kindergarten.
Well, they're not in kindergarten anymore,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah, that's
if
right.
we were, they for sure would be full day.
And after school daycare as well, or something like that.
Dale and Seth, maybe lastly, you can touch on this, and this is just a public space to be able to say thank you to Superintendent Nielsen, to the Nebo School District, for the partnership that exists between us and Spanish Fork City. It's critical to our Parks and Rec Department, but other sections of our city as well. I know in the public safety sphere as well. Chief Johnson could reiterate that, but we just couldn't ask for a better partner in Nebo School District for all that you do for our kids. And those kids are in your schools and they're in our city.
Yeah.
And it's, Dale, you want to touch on any bit of that?
Yeah, I would. And I don't know, Rick, I know this interlocal agreement's been in place for probably 50 years or more. Decision that was, and I don't know how many people know about it, but that many years ago, our administrative people decided that, hey, we're going to save the taxpayers money and we're going to share facilities. And so consequently, the district uses some city facilities, and we in a lot of our programs use a lot of the schools for a lot of our programs. And these guys have been so marvelous to work with in terms of our interlocal agreement, always very willing to partner with us to improve facilities and buy new scoreboards or whatever it is we need. But it is all in the interest of the kids, and we appreciate the relationship that we have had and continue to have with you guys. Tremendous partners.
Mayor, if I can comment, I appreciate you saying that. I thought if they'll let me have any kind of an open comment, that's exactly what I wanted to speak to. I'm not sure our communities recognize how much cities and school districts, especially a district our size, with all of our cities, but we're here in Spanish Fork tonight, how critical it is that we have just got wonderful cooperative, collaborative relationships. I mean, I'm driving around the last 2 weeks looking and seeing what's going on with the stoplights in town, what's going on with the roundabouts in town that are being installed, what's going on with road closures. We talk about facilities. We talk about the inland port and what happened there a few weeks ago. I mean, the list just goes on and on. We had a massive issue that impacted public safety in the school district at the end of last year, right? And I'm so grateful for the community that I live in and the relationships we have,
that we're so confident that we know that we'll work together to respond to those kinds of things. So I just wanted to make sure that the elected officials here knew that you've got amazing staff. And we meet with them regularly, we work together on things to just move all kinds of initiatives forward for the betterment of our entire community. Those who have kids in the system, the school system, and those who don't. We're a big enough player that we're mindful of those who don't yet have students in our district or those whose kids have left our school district. So I can't say enough about you as elected officials, but also your paid staff and just the relationships we have. And we don't take it for granted either. We're just beyond grateful for it.
Well, we thank you. Thanks for coming tonight, but thank you that none of this stuff happens by accident. It happens by good leadership, and I know you have a good board with you as well. We share in some of your people volunteering to sit on boards and plan out the city with us, and we sure appreciate them. But we sure appreciate you, Superintendent Nielsen. I wish I had some participation partnership award to give you tonight, but I hope you'll settle for a round of applause from me.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Chad Argyle's usual thing is he asks you if anybody wants candy. He's got a drawer full of candy, but you're probably good and all sugared up, ready to go for tomorrow.
I'm sugared up, and I don't want any more sugar in me, because if you'll let me, I'm gonna go home and try to get a good night's sleep
That's
tonight.
probably a good idea.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'll walk my dog and go to sleep tonight, so, awesome.
Let me just share one, maybe you probably won't be happy with me, but one private insight that I know about Rick, as we get into the winter season, he bears the responsibility of deciding whether or not schools get canceled or delayed when there's a snowy day. And if you ever wonder how they make the decisions, it's because Rick and others, maybe of his staff, get up at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And he and I have chatted a few times early in the morning, and I'm out in Junola or Goshen at 4:30 in the morning, seeing how the snow's going. And I think you get a sense tonight as we visited with Rick, and certainly as you work with him, how much he loves what he does and how much he loves the community that he serves. And we're really blessed to have leadership like that, as you said. That's something that I was surprised to learn how intimately involved he was in making that decision. I think that leads anybody to know it's a serious decision he does not take lightly. And he does that in everything he does, so we appreciate you.
Thanks.
Well, and it shouldn't be overlooked, and I know these relationships aren't across the board because I've talked to other cities and the superintendents of school districts, but it took one phone call when we needed help of people that had younger backs than maybe most in Spanish Fork to say, we need help filling sandbags. We got issue, we got problems, and we need help. And it took one call, and they showed up in droves. And it's some of the coolest stories about that those few weeks and month of the community coming together involve your students and the way they stepped up and just helped their community. And it was noticed around here, but it was noticed abroad too. So it was really neat to see that come together.
Amen. We're in a great work shared together, aren't we? So, thank you. All right. Enjoy council meeting. If you ever want to come to our board meeting, you're welcome to come there too, if you don't get enough rostrum stuff. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. See ya.
Great. Thanks a lot. Okay, that takes us on to item B, where we, after we do a prayer, we do a pledge here in Spanish Fork. And Councilman Argyle's leading us in the pledge.
The audience, please rise and replace the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Takes us to item C on our agenda, some recognition of probably a student of the Nebo School District. What school?
Maple Mountain.
Maple Mountain, the Golden Eagles. Okay, perfect. This is, I have a little thing to read about you, Shayla. Is that okay that I read this and embarrass you a little in front of millions of viewers on television? Is that okay? Are you okay with that? Okay. So Shayla Brown, a Girl Scout Gold Award Project. She's created a program for the youth of Spanish Fork this summer to help them stay off electronics more often. Her program is called Power Off, Fun On, and she's been running free classes for kids in our community to attend with the goal of giving them activity ideas that don't include screens. At the beginning of the activities, she asked them to sign a pledge to use screens less this summer, and it also has pull-off tabs with other things they can do when they need ideas. Some of her classes have included sketching, chalk art, rock painting, friendship bracelets, card games, embroidery. We pre-threaded 150 needles for this one. That sounds like a lot of work. Next week, she'll do classes on mosaic art, cardboard crafts, clay creations, and solo Dungeons and Dragons. All of these classes are free to participants. Are they still going on, or are you just rounding those
No,
up?
I just finished.
You just finished them, okay. She solicited donations for her class from the community. She says our community is so awesome that donated everything on her list, and each participant goes home with supplies to continue their new hobby at home, all without screens. For example, the chalk art class went home with their own sidewalk chalk and painter's tape. The card game class went home with a deck of cards and laminated rules for six games that they learned. Her classes had 200 total slots for participants. That's a lot of kids in the community. She put some instructions on a web page in case they forgot how to do something like embroidery, but she programmed the website herself so that each video stops with the invitation to go use their own skill. That's very good. It's intentionally coded not to go to the next video. All in all, she has spent 100+ hours running this program, and it's honestly amazing to watch. So we thought we'd see if there's any kind of recognition, and this is your recognition. So, Shayla, tell us anything else about what you've done this summer. You've been busy.
Yeah, so that's basically my project. So this is for my Girl Scout Gold Award, which is the highest award a Girl Scout can earn after the Bronze and Silver Award, and then there's the Gold Award. And so I wanted a project I really cared about, and since I have a little brother who's on screens a lot, and then when he's not on the screen, he doesn't know what to do. So I wanted to create something for all the kids that can teach them skills they can do off of screens, and then gets them off of screens. And so I ran 20 classes, 2 for each topic, and all of the topics I had chalk art, rock painting, sketching, friendship bracelets, card games, embroidery, mosaic art, cardboard crafts, clay creations, and solo D&D. And so I taught most of these, but I also got volunteers from the Youth City Council. They came and helped teach some classes like sketching. So you also said, you talked about the pledge. Can I hand that out? I have one for each of you to look at. So it just is a pledge that these kids would sign before each class. And on the bottom were ideas of other things they can do. So, because I only taught them one skill at the class. And I sent out a survey to all the parents at the end of the summer. And they all said that all of their kids used the rip-off tabs at the bottom. Because the goal for all the kids was to rip off every single tab on the bottom before the end of summer. So a lot of kids got really close. It's cool to see. And you also talked about supplies. So I gave kids supplies to use during the class, but I also sent them home with stuff. So for each one, I'd make a handout. For this one, which was embroidery, it was my favorite because I love embroidery. They got a whole pack of threads, and they got like heat erase pens and hoops and just all the supplies they needed. And I had more than 200 items on my Amazon wish list for these kids and sent it into the community, and they were bought within 2 weeks. It was crazy. It was amazing. I had packages on my doorstep. I had like 20 packages one day when I opened up my door, and there's just packages.
That's a good
donations.
day.
Sounds like Stacy's house.
But it was so cool because the same day I posted asking for donations, there was literally donations on my doorstep. And even after my Amazon wish list was full, I had people contacting me like, hey, I have extra pencils, I have diamond paintings, can I drop them off, can you use them? So I found a way to use everything, which was really fun. And so here are some more kits. There's just like sketching, they got sketching pencils and just some really fun things. And then for each kid, I gave them a laminated business card to the website so that they can learn more things. And like you said, I programmed it so that after each video it stops. But it also I programmed it so it doesn't have ads or pop up any other videos, so the kids don't go down any rabbit holes, which is easy to do on YouTube. So yeah. And my favorite part of this project was seeing how kids, what they did at the end. So at the end I had a raffle for them to win like these diamond paintings, and they sent in pictures. And then I went to the county fair, and I actually saw some of the projects that they made and submitted to me. So I saw like this girl made her own embroidery design and embroidered it with the hardest stitch too. She was struggling with it in the class, but you could tell she was practicing because on the thing she submitted to the county fair, it was perfect and she got first place. So that was really cool to see. That was my favorite part. Any questions?
I've got a question for you. First of all, congratulations, because this is awesome. Having an 8-year-old, I understand the, what do I do when the devices are turned off, right? So, how did people find out about your courses? How did the kids get registered, and how did you spread the word?
So I used a lot of social media, mostly Facebook. I posted a lot to the community page, the same place that I posted for donations. And I also made flyers and handed them out to teachers in Nebo School District, to the elementary schools, and asked them to find kids that could really benefit from this. And so those kids got first picks, and they went to Sign Up Genius and just signed up there. And then I just posted it to anyone. So yeah, and they filled up quickly. It was really cool.
Shayla, congratulations. That is a big project. And I think if any of our departments are hiring, you should apply. Jesse's over the Arts Council.
Youth Arts Council.
Yeah.
Right? The Youth Arts Festival, it's an awesome opportunity to teach. So if you're okay, we'll pass your name along.
We're really proud.
What year of a Golden Eagle are you? What year at Maple Mountain?
I'm gonna be a senior.
You're gonna be a senior this year.
Mhm.
What's next? President of the United States? You're just gonna leapfrog everything, huh?
She's coming for your seat.
Yes, right here. Yes, very good.
How many Girl Scout cookies have you sold?
This year I think it was about 500.
Oh my.
But this is my 9th year of selling Girl Scout cookies, so like I've sold 800 in the past.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Congratulations.
Very impressive.
Well, Shayla, congratulations. It's very worthy of your city taking note of what you're doing. That's a big thing for our community, for you to care so much, to put that much time and effort into an important endeavor. Just what Superintendent Nielsen referenced, people just getting out, doing something different, right? Engaging in different things, and you really helped with that. So this will almost be as important as your high school diploma that you get next year. It's a certificate of recognition awarded to Shayla Brown. Congratulations, the 2023 Girl Scout Award Project. And it's become kind of a thing now where we ask you to come up here and get a picture with us so you can kind of be displayed in the mayor's office, and we can show you off when people come to town and say, hey, what's going on in Spanish Fork? And we show them great people like you. So congratulations. Start with Nick and shake hands this way, and then we'll get a picture.
All right, up front.
All right. 1, 2, 3. You got yours? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Way to go, Mom and Dad. Way to go, Shayla. Thank you. Okay, good stuff. Good way to start off a meeting. Takes us to item number 4, public comments. This is a section of the meeting where anybody can come up and address the council in a public comment setting. Doesn't have to be on the agenda in council, but you're more than welcome to come up, And Nick has got the 3-minute timer up there. If you can try to keep it to that time, we'll respect everybody's time. But anybody that would like to address the mayor and city council tonight, please come up for public comment. Nobody ran. Okay. That takes us to Spanish Fork 101 before we go to council comments. We've got A and B on Spanish Fork 101, Wings and Wills. And then, Tara, I assume you're going to talk about the primary election. Okay, so Wings and Wills. Is that Dale? Oh, right there. There's Christian. Sorry, Christian. You're sitting in the back with a hat on.
Thanks for having me. So it's that time of year again. Wings and Wheels is coming up this year. This year it's going to be a little bit different. We've got a lot of construction going on at the airport, mainly our taxiway under reconstruction, making the event a 2-day event this year. So we'll have a lot of the car events Friday evening, September 22nd, starting at 4 p.m. And then Saturday morning, starting at 8 a.m. up until about 4 p.m., we'll have our more aviation-related things going on. So I think Councilmember Beck had an awesome experience last year. How was that for you?
Oh, wow, yeah, I just thought of that right when you pulled it up. I thought, oh, it's been a year. And I rode with some pilot and we did some aerials all over, upside down. It was a
You say you're ready to do it again?
What?
Aren't you ready to do it again?
Oh, I would totally do it again. Yeah, it was incredible. Thanks for the experience.
Good, of course. So we'd like to have all of you down there and experience the event. Nick, will you go to the next slide, or can I do that? So this year is going to be a little bit special for us. This is a first for us. We'll have a couple historic World War II bomber aircraft. So the first is called a B-17, shown here. This one was flown in World War II as a kind of medium distance bomber. They'll be offering rides Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So tickets can be purchased on the airport website. There's a link that will direct to their website, and tickets can be purchased in advance there. And then
Is that live yet? I'm buying right now. Are tickets available now?
yes, they are. Yeah, tickets are available now, and then they'll also be able to take purchases of tickets at the event for available slots. And then we'll have this other aircraft called a privateer, similar type of aircraft that'll be on display for the event. So awesome year. We just ask that everyone that is aware of the event attend, promote, and then I forgot the third thing in our slogan, but attend and promote and then sponsor. So if you know any companies or individuals that are looking for partnerships to sponsor the event, it's what helps put on the event. And we offer several different packages that include a lot of different promotional materials and things like that. So again, attend, volunteer, and promote. So any questions?
What's the website? Where would people go?
Go to the airport website, so just go to SpanishFork.org, and then under airport, there is a link called events, and on there there'll be Wings and Wells.
Wings and Wells.
Yep.
Okay.
One of the cool events, we have many in Spanish Fork, but this one's a cool one, and it's attracting people from all over the nation kind of to come in and cool cars, cool planes, and everything. So.
Yep. And it's a great way to give back to the community. I know the airport gets a lot of support from the city and a lot of surrounding businesses. So it's a great way to showcase what the airport is, what we're about, and the many businesses and job opportunities that anybody has in aviation.
There's good food too.
Yeah.
There's food trucks now.
I've just been impressed through the years as the Wings and Wheels has evolved a little bit each year and adding some elements. These historic planes are going to be really cool. A neat opportunity to have those. And are they all landing, flying in?
Yeah, they'll all fly in probably Friday morning and then stay through Saturday afternoon.
Really cool. It's a neat opportunity, and you know, 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, the north part of Spanish Fork was kind of way out there, and the airport was so far away, and since I-Corps widened the freeway underpass there, that part of North Main has just become a little closer, and it's brought the airport, I think, closer to all of us as a community. But these events, I think, have done just as much to let the public know we've got this really neat resource here. And I think we've only started to see the value of what it's bringing to us, and it's fun that we get to celebrate it each year with this event. So great work.
Great work, Christian. We'll see you down there, a week from
September 22nd and 23rd, so about 6 weeks away.
Yeah, a month. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Okay, takes us to item B. Tara Silver will talk to us about the primary election, September 5th, 2023.
Awesome. I'm here to just remind residents, remind everybody that the primary election was moved and it is going to be September 5th. Do you have my presentation? Anyway, it's going to be September 5th, so make sure that you get your ballots. They're going to be going out now. Some people I've heard have already received their ballots, so you should be getting them, but you could get them anywhere till August 28th. So the next thing, let's see if we can get it. There we go. So if you want information, go to vote.utah.gov. That's the best place to get as much information as possible. I've bolded a section there that says learn about the candidates and issues because I feel like that's the best place to go, and I'll show you why. If you go to, can you X off that Adobe? I think it's preventing me from, there we go. So if you click on that bolded place that said candidates and issues, this is what you'll find. So these are all the candidates. They're in the master ballot order, so that's why they're not alphabetical. But you can read their profiles. Luckily, each one in our city has submitted a profile. Some cities don't have everyone submit a profile. So you can really learn about them. You'll see their websites. You can go on the Spanish Fork website to find their websites as well. But then on the side, you can see, oh, I don't know if this is gonna, is it gonna? On the side, you can see, let's go back. You can see that it has all the other things that you might want to learn about, like how can I vote, learn about the candidates and issues is what we're on. You can track your ballot. You can learn about all different kinds of things. All the questions that you may have are all right there on the side. Who you need to call, how to do anything when it comes to voting. All right, so we have a new ballot box location. It no longer is at the Senior Center. This is really important. We have it now at Library Hall at 80 South Main Street. You can see the traffic pattern with the arrows. We have some drop boxes there. We have library drop boxes. Then we also have a utility drop box and a post office drop box, and the very last box is the ballot box. So we want to make sure everybody knows that you should put it in the ballot box. If it ends up in those other boxes, we have a procedure in place where we can take those out, document it, and put it in the ballot box. But if you can help us out and try to hit that ballot box, that would be fantastic. There are 3 ways that you can send in your ballot. First, put it in that drop box. Second, you can mail it. That's why I have a number 2 over the mailbox. And then also you can go to the Senior Center, which is our polling place, and you can actually vote the day of the election. And that's open from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. So if you'd like to take your ballot there, you can take your ballot there as well. If you haven't registered to vote, you can cast a provisional ballot. That will allow you to cast a vote, and then they'll double check your ID and those types of things before it counts. So this year, we always have someone in our home who doesn't like to follow instructions, don't we? I'm someone who loves to follow instructions, but I have someone in my home who doesn't like to follow instructions. So when we put something together, I'm always looking at the instructions. They're already putting it together. Well, this ballot is going to help some of those people who don't like to watch or look at instructions because they had already printed the ballots before the special election. That means they didn't reprint the envelopes. So the envelopes are all going to stay the same. So those who don't look at instructions will be just fine because they won't even notice the instructions on the outside of the ballot. But inside it will have the corrected ballot and the corrected dates. So it will tell you inside that your ballot can be postmarked the day of the election. On the outside it will say it should be postmarked the day before the election. But because of the holiday and the date being moved, It can be the day of the election. So just something that will cause a little bit of confusion. If you can help people out, help them realize that outside is not going to look or be the right instructions, but the inside will. Also, they didn't want to reprint all the stickers. And so if you need a sticker, you can come to the city recorder, or they will have them at the polling place. So we have many residents who really value that sticker, who want to show that they voted. And so come into the city offices, I'd love to give you a sticker. That is going to save the city, our city particularly, over $10,000 to not reprint that envelope and to not reprint those stickers. So it is a huge savings, and that's why they've decided to do that. And then here's the sample ballot. Here again are our candidates. You're going to vote for 3. Those, like I've said, ballots have been mailed. Some people got them today, but they will go out as far as the 29th. So the 29th is the last time you can request a replacement ballot. That's going to be if you spilled something on it, you lost it, you never got it, you need to contact the county and they can send you a replacement ballot. We have early voting, August 28th through September 1st. You have to go to the Provo Administration Building to do that, and that's from 8 to 5 p.m. If you are a disability voter and need some help, you also would go there as well, or contact them and they'll send you a ballot. So I wanted to go over the security measures. We went to a ballot tour, I love them. But one is that barcode up there, as you can see, that identifies who you are. So if I was to copy that and they got 2 ballots that were the exact same, they would know it and they would have to rectify that problem. They would have to call the voter and see how they voted and that type of thing. So that's one of the security measures. Also, make sure and put your information on the outside so they can contact you if there is a problem. And one of those problems could be that maybe you didn't sign the envelope. So make sure and sign that envelope, but they compare it to 5 different signatures that you've sent in. It could be your driver's license, it could be your earlier voting, it could be your social security card. Anywhere that they would have a signature, they compare it to 5 others. If it doesn't look like it matches, you were in a hurry, you just signed it differently than you normally would, then they have to pull it out and they have to rectify that and call you. Also, that little hole right there lets you know that the ballot is inside the envelope. Every year we get some ballots some envelopes without the ballots. So that little hole is to remind us to make sure that ballot's in there. Some other security measures, all cameras are on every ballot box. At the ballot center, there's cameras all over the place. In fact, you have to sign, if you're gonna go in the ballot center, you have to sign that you're okay being videotaped, because there are cameras everywhere, at every station and everywhere in the facility. So weighing your ballots. They're not gonna weigh us when we go give our ballots, but they are gonna weigh the ballots when they pick them up. They're gonna weigh them when they drop them off. They're gonna weigh them, they put them in bunches of 250 and they weigh them periodically throughout the process to make sure that those ballots are the same. So if you spill water or your drink or something on that ballot, it's going to weigh too much, and the machine is going to kick it out, and they're going to have to double check it or hand check it, as we would say. So some other securities is the chain of custody. Every time that ballot interacts with someone, there's a paper that has to say who interacted with that ballot, where it was, and what happened to it. So at each station, it's told who's interacted with that ballot. Also, they put zip ties around all the city ballots so that they know we're gonna have a special zip tie. They didn't tell me what color it was, but we will have a special color zip tie so that they make sure that they get all Spanish Fork ballots counted together. So in the ballot center, you have to have a badge and also a key just to get in. But to get in the servers, you have to get in the ballot center, then you have to have a key, you have to have the password to the computer, the password to the server, the USB encrypted code, the encrypted software, and you have to have all those things together. One thing being wrong, it will kick you out and it will not allow you in. So as you can imagine, it's very hard to get to those servers. They are never connected to Wi-Fi, they're never connected to the internet, they are never connected to Bluetooth. So they have their own system within that ballot center. Just some things to remind you, those who aren't going to read the instructions, this is how you fix your ballot. Above, that's how you want to fill it in. You want to fill in those little holes. You want to be nice and neat, no check marks, no X's. Just fill it in nice and neat. And then if you do end up voting for the wrong person, you thought it was a different line, all you do is cross that out, and then you're going to circle the whole name and the filled in bubble to let them know that's the one that you want. Just a reminder, because of that Labor Day holiday, you can postmark your ballot the day of the election. Just be aware, and I caution you, that we don't know when they're going to pick up that last mail on that day. So they're not going to pick it up at 8 o'clock. So if you're going to mail your ballot the day of the election, do it early, or just put it in the drop box. Especially since we have them right close together, just put it in the drop box. And then I'll just leave you with this note: the most important office, and the one which all of us can and should fill, is that of private citizen. So get out and vote. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Tara?
Thanks, Tara.
Our elections are secure, Tara?
Yes.
People's votes are gonna count if they'll make the effort to vote.
Absolutely, and they have ballot tracks that can track your vote. So you can see all along the process where it ends
your
up.
ballots are.
Yeah,
Very good.
okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
If you needed another encouragement, I think I can stand in speaking for the city and the city council and saying, get out and vote. It's a right that you have in this country, and there's been a lot of people that have fought, died for your right to vote. So if you're lucky enough to be in a country to vote, use that right and vote for your elected officials. Okay, that takes us to item number 6, council comments. We'll go down the line here, starting with Councilman Argyle, and then go this way and end with Councilwoman Beck.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to follow up on just a little thing that Rick Nelson talked about. I spend a lot of time on the roads and in large trucks, and I think about how many times as I drive around this city, I get yelled at and asked where my driver's license come from, and then usually receive some kind of a vote from their hand. I want to ask tomorrow schools, we're going back to schools, and I know people are always in a hurry. It just always amazes me how easy people get frustrated. 36,000 children are going to be on those streets. Some of them are being on school buses. But before and after school, I just want to encourage our city that if you have to leave and go somewhere, leave a little early, take time. Our school zones are clearly marked. Rick said that's one of his worst days, and we don't want to have that. Take some patience. Be mindful that they're going to school and that you need to be aware of what's going on, because they are going to be on our streets, and we don't want to have an accident. We want everybody to get where they need to be, and I just want to encourage you to take a deep breath and just take a few little minutes to get to your destination, and do that in a very safe way so that we all arrive at our destinations safely. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Argyle. Good reminder. Councilman Euler.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Yesterday I had my Mountain Eagle Water Agency meeting, so just a quick update on that. We're making progress on our water banking and groundwater management plans, and we also voted to approve the addition of a new board member, which will come from the Strawberry Water Users Association. They'll select or submit some names for that appointment in a future meeting, but should be good to have somebody from Strawberry Water sit on that board as well. And then the other thing, I mentioned this last council meeting, the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter received a grant from Skechers. So Skechers, the shoe company, has a nonprofit program where if you buy a certain pair of shoes, a portion of that sale goes towards their nonprofit, which they use then to distribute and help animal shelters throughout the country. And to date, they've brought in, they said, just over $8 million total through this program. And the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter was selected to receive a portion of that. So they received a check for $100,000, which is a good sum for what they can use down there to help with the dogs. In the other photo, sorry Nick, just to go back, you'll notice the lady in the middle there, her name in the light blue shirt, her name's Carrie Ward. She is a Spanish Fork resident and actually a neighbor of mine, and she works at the animal shelter. And she has done a phenomenal job of writing grants to be able to get money and funding for the animal shelter. She was a huge part, probably the major contributing factor for the shelter getting this grant. So I just want to recognize her for the good that she's doing down at our animal shelter. So grateful for those employees that work there. A reminder to all of our citizens, keep track of your pets, your dogs, your cats. Seems like on social media there's always a post of, hey, my dog got out, or does anybody know whose dog this is? Those dogs that are down there in the shelter cost each of us as taxpayers. It comes out of our funds as a community to shelter them and take care of them. So do what you can to take care of and provide for your animals. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Euler. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I think we're kind of on the same wavelength tonight. I asked Chief Johnson to come up to talk about what they're going to be doing tomorrow to help with safety for kids coming back to school and with the lots of traffic.
Exactly. I'd just like to reiterate what Councilman Argyle as well as Superintendent Nilsson stated. Tomorrow is an exciting day. I recall years ago dropping my daughters off at school for the first day and how exciting it was. And tomorrow when they drive away to college, it's just not the same experience. So tomorrow the police department's going to be out at every elementary school along with the fire department. So parents shouldn't be alarmed if they see several police cars as well as fire trucks at the elementary schools. We're going to be out at every school greeting the students as they come into the school, just giving them encouragement on the first day of school, letting them get to know the police department as well as the fire department as well. This morning in our briefing, this was a topic that we discussed was school safety. Our school resource officers are going to be within their respected schools, and we're going to have extra patrols in the school crosswalks throughout the morning as well. But I just want to reiterate that to the public is please be patient. Please take leave early in the morning as Councilman Argyle suggested. Last week we had our school crossing guard training. We have some great people that volunteer. They are paid, but for what we pay them, it's more of a volunteer position, and they do what they do because they love the students. They love that interaction with the students on a daily basis. So we're going to be out in force tomorrow. If you have students that are walking to school, there are some new safe school routes, so I encourage the parents to get to know those safe school routes. They will be on the school websites, or if they have questions, we can provide them with the safe school routes as well. Basically, that just consists of the safest route to walk to school, where's the safest intersection, where's the crossing guards, where's the stoplights. So we've had 4th North, 300 West with the roundabout there. We're going to have a crossing guard there still, and then up on 1150 East and 3rd South, there's been some construction up there for the Larson School, but we'll have some people up there monitoring that as well to see how that's going tomorrow. So exciting day. We just want everyone to be safe in our community, so please drive safe, pay attention. Let's get our students to school safely. So thank you.
And just adding to that, right, there's been a lot of different construction projects going on this last summer, so make sure you understand the changes in patterns and different things. And along with that, we had the light on Center Street open up this week, or yesterday, and had some concerns about people running that light, even though there's a big red light that comes on, people running it, and Chris and Chief Johnson immediately got something there to make sure to draw people's attention to it as quick as possible. So thank you for taking that concern and making sure that we're trying to make sure people are safe. Pay attention to the signs that have changed and different things like that. Adding to that, I want to just thank the Emergency Service Night Out, the police department, fire, EMS, put a lot of time and effort into that. A lot of the police officers and different folks that were there had worked all day or were there on their day off, but they do it because they care about our community and want us to have that good relationship. So thank you, and it was a great event. If you missed it, it'll be happening again next year, so please be there. Want to continue on, we have an airport breakfast I talked about last time, and Christian put together just a little infographic about it, but just come to have free breakfast at the airport. It'll get you introduced to what's going to be happening at the Wings and Wheels. It's not maybe as cool, but it is a free breakfast. It's in hangar number 6 at 9 a.m. on Saturday till 11 a.m. So, and the airport board puts that on. So if you haven't been down to the airport, it's a good chance to get a free breakfast and also to meet some of those folks who really love the airport and love what it's about. Next, I want to talk about, or tell the rec department thank you for the state pride that they did for all the volunteer coaches. Without the rec department, but also the coaches in our community, we don't have the rec department that we have or the rec programs. So really cool event. If you've ever coached and been to that, you look forward to it. It's probably, it's the big payout, but a lot of meat, a lot of steak, and thank you, Dell and your team, for doing that. Great turnout. Next, I want to talk about the Arts Council. Wouldn't be my comments without talking about the Arts Council for a second, Shane. No, I saw you light up. So Harvest Moon Hurrah is coming up on September 9th. They are looking for volunteers. So if you have the capability or the opportunity, go to the website. It's up there on the screen, SpanishFork.org/arts, and there's a job form or a survey to go ahead and volunteer. There's lots of events that will be happening. It's a full day. I think it's from 3 to 8. Lots of different activities going on there. One of the things I think that's important to know is these type of programs, especially the Arts Council do, they rely a lot on our RAP funds to make those happen. So this is a good opportunity to just kind of see what they're using that money for, but also to just get to know our arts program in Spanish Fork. It's not just at school, it's all over the place. So, and thank you to all those that make that happen. Last thing that I have on here is I just want to talk about the farmers market for a second. It's going on until the end of October, and it's every Saturday starting at 8 a.m. Peaches are there, so if you've been looking for peaches, they're finally there. They do sell out very quick, but the farmers market is, it brings back that heritage that we are in Spanish Fork, and it's a really good opportunity to support our local farmers from all around the county, some are from the state, but one of the cool things about the farmers market this year is there are a lot of vendors, and Kathleen will probably talk about this in a second, but I don't know that I've seen as many vendors as I've seen down there this year every week, especially this early in the season. So if you haven't been there, go check it out. There's lots of corn, tomatoes, potatoes, there's Green River watermelons, everything's down there, so come check it out. And with that, Kathleen, I'll turn some time over to you for the chamber.
Thanks. I was going to end with the market, but I'll start with the market just to ping pong off of you. So one of the things that we did this year for the first time is we did weekly rentals and monthly rentals for the farmers market booths, and that's why we've been seeing the increase in vendors. People can come and they can try it out, and once they get the feel of our market and see how awesome it is, they're all signing up with the seasonal ones. We used to just have a seasonal, but this was a way to encourage more participation in our market, and it's working. So we're really excited about that. So please do come down, check out all the new stuff, check out all of the classic stuff that we have, because we do have a lot of really loyal farmers that have been selling with us for years, but we're excited for the growth as well. So that is every Saturday until the end of October. We've got a busy rest of this month. Tomorrow, August 16th, we're excited to be hosting Congressman Burgess Owens to be visiting Spanish Fork for a business tour. For those of you that are joining us, if I did not tell you already, the Hydro has requested we wear long sleeves and closed-toed shoes, so that way we're safe through the tour. But anyway, so we're super excited about that. On the 17th, Thursday, is our noon networking, hosted at Hampton Inn, and Mountain Mike's is generously sponsoring the lunch. We have a company called Track Talent coming in to educate business owners on how to attract and retain employees, how to create benefit packages for small businesses, how they can poise themselves to compete with some of the bigger businesses that can maybe offer more money. So they're going to be educating on that. And then we have actually Congressman John Curtis's chief of staff reached out to me to address our chamber. So he's coming for a bit during the new networking for kind of a Q&A. So it should be a really good one. That's August 17th at noon. August 18th at noon, we've got a ribbon cutting for Advanced IV Solutions. They're partnering with Tabitha's Way on a food drive, so there's information on our website if you guys would like to come and participate in the ribbon cutting and or the food drive. August 23rd, we've got a ribbon cutting for Petty and Main. They're celebrating their 1 year in business, so we're gonna celebrate them with a ribbon cutting. It should be fun. They didn't have theirs when they opened, so we'll take care of it. And then August 30th at noon, we have a ribbon cutting for the Mint Facial Bar right here on Main Street. So our business of the month, which I haven't even told them yet, so if anyone's watching, you get the inside scoop, is Angelus Theater right here on Main Street. So I'll be reaching out to them probably tomorrow to get a date set up to celebrate that. So thanks so much, you guys.
Thanks, Kathleen. And it's great to serve on that board with the chamber and the relationship that we have with our Chamber of Commerce and the economic vitality that we have here. It's great. The synergy is awesome. So thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Cardin. Councilman Marshall?
My turn?
Your turn. You're up.
I was afraid there for a minute.
Yep.
Just a couple of things. I have gotten some questions about what's going down at the transfer station. I don't know if you've been there lately. It is overflowing. It doesn't look like the transfer station that we're used to. Let me just put it that way. So I reached out to Terry and asked him, what's up? I think I touched a nerve by asking him that. He's very proud of the transfer station, and he's very, very proud of the new one. So he told me that the current transfer station is set up to handle 500 tons a day. They're processing between 800 and 1,000 tons a day. When you double the intake, it has to go somewhere, and that is the result of what happens when you double the intake. They're set up to take around 300 tickets a day. They take 500 tickets a day. So when you go out there and you have to wait for an hour to get in, that's why. If you have driven by the new transfer station, you'll notice that it's all inside. It's going to be a much better experience. It's going to be able to handle this load and accommodate the future growth. So we ask for your patience. It will get better. It will not get better in its current location, period. They're doing what they can. They're working hard to meet the demand, but there's just not enough room and not enough space to accommodate all that garbage. So be patient. March of 2024, we should be in the new place. So under budget and ahead of schedule, and it's looking pretty good. Chris, correct? I missed my tour. I showed up on a Thursday, the meeting was on a Wednesday. It's not good to do that. You probably expect that from me at this point. It's been a rough couple of months at the Marshall House, I guess, but I'm gonna go down and take a tour in the next couple of weeks and check it out, because it's now that the walls are tilted up and it is a big place. It's gonna be pretty cool. So Terry says, hold on, we'll get there and it will be amazing. So thank you for that feedback, Terry. A couple of things. Chris, 1150 East, that's pretty awesome. As we're looking at what 1150 East could be, we got some feedback from some citizens about putting some bike lanes on it, restriping it, sort of repurposing it after we took that stop sign out. And Chris's crew went to work and did just that, and it is what I think a road like that in our community should look like. It carries traffic, but it also carries everything else. Those pop-outs right next to Larson School are really nice. They slow you down. You don't need the stop sign because it slows you down. So, great job. Looking forward to never riding my bike on it because that's way too far from my house. It's like a whole half a mile away. No way I'm doing that. But congratulations, great job. Rec Center, we met, was it last Tuesday, I guess? Almost got to a point of awarding a bid, but it looks like we're gonna go back and make the package fuller, a complete package that we can bid out to some contractors and get some groundbreaking in the next, 6 weeks?
Yes.
4 weeks? 1 week?
We expect you'll have the bid here to award, first meeting in October.
Sweet.
Bids will go out 1st of September.
1st of September,
And
yes.
then come back 21st-ish of September.
Which is basically all the excavation.
Yeah, we'll start
piping,
doing
those things.
demolition and some underground work in the middle of next month.
You probably will see some utility work, not necessarily related to the rec center, but you have to get ahead of some things when you do this. People will start to see some work in the area soon. It's not necessarily the rec center, but it is related to what's coming.
I might put the mayor on the spot. If those bids come in earlier than the first week of October and we have to call a special city council meeting to approve those bids, maybe we should just speed that process up. So,
It only takes 2 of you to call that if you don't think he's doing it.
all right, perfect.
I'm just outlining the possibility.
Don't ask me, I got no votes from all these guys all the time. So
Why I'm even here sometimes.
that is it for me. Great to be back.
Thank you, Councilman Marshall. And yes, the rec center, yes, good. We want to keep you updated. I know Dale and Seth and the architect filmed a little thing today, got that complete, so residents should be updated within a few days probably of what, some walkthroughs, right? Now I'll put you on the spot.
It was Nick, not me, Dale,
Oh,
Nick, and the architect,
Okay.
and yeah, I think what they can do, what architects can do in terms of 3D renderings today is, it's not your architecture of yesterday, right?
No, you're gonna get some neat sneak peeks inside the door, so.
I feel like you are
That's
actually
exciting.
in it.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll compare that architect work and Travis will fly a drone through it when it's done. And we'll just compare the two, and see how it looks. Okay, thank you, Councilman Marshall. Councilwoman Beck.
You know what, I honestly think everything has been said, so I know, it's a miracle. I'm not gonna talk. I mean, I could.
Yeah, but.
You all vote for me to not talk? I
Something,
thought
no.
so. You do, really? Okay, I'll hurry and say one thing.
All
No, Saturday morning, I missed our farmer's market, and I was out at my son's house who lives in Eagle Mountains, so my daughter-in-law and I went to the Eagle Mountains farmer's market. They had so many craft vendor booths, I hardly could find any food. I am so glad that years ago, the Chamber of Commerce decided to just allow food. Like, our farmer's market is super special. It's super expensive. Saturdays cost a lot of money going down there and loading up my car. But it was just really, I missed our farmer's market because they didn't have hardly anything over there. It was big, but it was a lot of craft vendors and commercial things. So I'm excited to go to our farmer's market this Saturday.
It is cool. You're still doing SNAP benefits down there, right? So people that are struggling to find healthy food, that's where you can buy healthy food.
Absolutely.
Is at our farmer's market, so.
I think I would follow up on what Stacy said, that it's not expensive if you don't fill your entire car up. If you just buy what you need for the week, it's not so bad.
Oh, it's so exciting to have fresh food at our house that,
But you got salsa and honey.
I know.
It's
And then pumpkins and corn stalks and.
Just saying, you
Yeah,
don't
there's a
stop
lot.
every
You
single.
go there for 2 things and you walk by 10 booths and you have 12 things. That's how it goes, so.
Hey, Mayor, since we're talking about farming and food, probably just a quick reminder as well from Tabitha's Way that came in a few weeks ago and mentioned, and it's that time of year that if you've got a garden that you've grown and you're overloaded with zucchini or any type of produce, load that up and take it down to Tabitha's. They can use it. They've got families that are in need that would put that produce to use. So keep that in mind.
Great reminder.
They have this really cool feature on their website. You can click up to like subscribe and just, instead of streaming something on your TV, you donate every month. It's really easy, simple. Don't even notice the money's gone and you're putting it to a good use. So I would encourage anyone to jump on there and you know, $5 a month, whatever it might be, goes a long ways for those folks. So they get a lot of bang for your dollar. So.
And you think it's maybe just depending on where you're at and your space and your small circle of influence, it's hard to remember sometimes because you may not see it every day. There are people in our community that struggle, and as kids, we get invited to some schools when it's in session. I'm excited for that to happen, but it's also when you talk to some of those administrators and principals about the kids they're taking care of that are hungry and you know, have some tough struggles. So you're right, that is a great avenue for people. If you want to help the food pantry, they take care of a lot of people in need. So good work, good reminder. Thank you, council, for all your attendance at all those meetings. It's a lot more than, again, I say it all the time, it's a lot more than just a couple times a month, but you have a lot of stuff on your plate in addition to your jobs and your families, and we appreciate you. You're doing good work for the city. I sent Nick my council comments really quick. I think in the military, Chad, they call this a battle buddy that you're supposed to have. Councilman Cardin and I were down at the roundabout opening here, and he let me, go for like 3 minutes. Councilwoman Beck had to leave to film a thing, and he let me go for like 3 minutes talking to the residents that came out for food trucks and everything else, and didn't ever remind me to tell them that I was wearing that small of a shirt because it was my niece's. It said Brockbank Broncos. You're supposed to help a guy out, remind him of that stuff. So
why did you put that picture up?
Well, because I'm trying to explain myself that I don't wear that small a t-shirt, Shane.
You do.
I did for that ribbon cutting, but I don't usually. But it is the Brockbank Broncos. The neighborhood came out. It was great meeting. Facilitated the contractor Ken Sang and Chris and all your folks and from our department and Seth and everybody that just came together and talk, and that's the big thing when you get talking, and I know there were some concerns about this down in the area, and especially with school getting back in session and everything else, but it's turned out to be an attractive project, and we hope it's safe and works out for the families and the people in that area, and the flow and safety of traffic through there. So.
My daughter had her first accident at that location.
Before the roundabout.
Before the roundabout, yeah, when she was 16, so 8 years ago. She had a learner's permit, and she crashed into another person with a learner's permit. Yeah, it was a good time. It's a phone call you want as a dad. But if this was there, that would not have happened. Absolutely would not have happened. You couldn't. This was one of the most difficult intersections, I think, in our city. Very difficult to navigate. You couldn't see out of, like almost look over your left shoulder to get through it if you're going south. It was a tough one. This is a better solution. It may be inconvenient for a few folks. I get that, but for the majority of people that travel this, it's much, much safer.
We talked to some law enforcement people that live in the area, but also some of our personnel that were on site. And yes, there's going to take some getting used to, just like getting used to the lights on center and stuff like that. But I'm with you, Shane, that growing up and going through this intersection from high school and home and back and forth, I remember that coming hot from 4th North, coming into town. It was dicey when you get across there. So hopefully it slows everybody down here.
You were telling a story about a dip that you'd hit. It's fascinating.
Not me, never me, but I'm sure Shane and Stacy have stories of.
I've watched people hit the dip.
Yeah, there was a gentleman that mentioned to me, and he is law enforcement in the area there, that pulled a high schooler over last year from Spanish Fork High, 67 miles an hour after that stop sign between there and Brockbank and the freeway underpass. And so this, we'll have patrols in the area. We'll be watching it too, and I'm sure that neighborhood will be watching it as well. But to go along with that, as school goes back in session, I think it was great to have Superintendent Nielsen here. I think we can all come to similar conclusions of this year, the Mendenhall House, we got a junior, we got a 6th grader, and we got a 1st grader. And so I know the property tax, when I add it up and what I pay to the school district and their portion, certainly doesn't cover the instruction and the daycare of the Mendenhall household that they're getting at their respective schools. And so that's what it is about a community, about a school district that brings everybody's dollars together and makes it a place where our kids can get educated and grow together. And so from, I guess, my house to yours, thank you to the taxpayer. It doesn't happen without your money as well. I know you don't have any kids in the school district anymore, but you're helping the Mendenhalls. You got grandkids, I know, that are still around here, and you guys still got kids in the school district.
1 in each school.
Yeah. So collectively, thank you to the taxpayer that helps that happen. We don't all do it by ourselves. Lastly, Chief Glasgow of Mapleton, I reached out to our fire chief, Eddie Hales, to ask about this, if it was kind of legit enough, and I knew it was, but we have good coordination and partnership between our neighboring chiefs of police and also our fire chiefs. And Mapleton has a connection to Maui, Hawaii, and if you've been seeing at all the news of the devastation that's there in Maui and Lahaina specifically, Chief Glasgow has a home there and friends and family that live out there as well. And so they put on a concert, their regular Monday night in the park concert last night in Mapleton that I ran up to. They donated and raised money. They raised over $6,800 just last night. The part of this that you can go online and see that with the Mapleton Firefighters Association is it really is an association with a board, so you know your money is directly going to go over to Maui to help victims that are struggling with housing and devastation out there. So they're raising some good money, and if you're looking for an opportunity to help out, there's your place. I know that has a place in Stacy's heart. She's been there a few times. Yep, and beautiful place, but tough going right now. So thank you, Mapleton, and we'll be good partners and help out where we can. Okay, after that, I want to pass a minute or two to our city manager, Seth Perrins, to give us an update. He has had multiple meetings, many meetings with the League of Cities and Towns and IRMA, our Risk Management Association, and has some updates that are for us and the citizens there.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of things from each of those organizations. I sit on the board of IRMA, and we received this last week in our board meeting a backing report. Many people might notice that Spanish Fork City employees back their vehicles into the parking stalls. And that's by policy, and some people wonder, why do we do that? Or some employees wonder, why do we do that? We commissioned a study of different entities and ourselves, and have found it to be a significant risk reducer. Something we knew, but we now have the data to back that up. So we've got a great report on that. And the insurance market, we buy insurance through IRMA, which is a pool, and we buy those policies. In essence, it's like going to Costco. You buy in bulk, and you usually save a little bit. We see that every year, and our rates are better than if we were out there alone. Somewhere in the order of 15 to 20% better, which is great. We've been experiencing what they call in the insurance world a hardening market for the last couple of years, and gratefully we're starting to see rates at least level off. And so our insurance rates are kind of peaked. Hopefully they begin to soften and come down, or at least don't go up as much each year as they have been. Something that Rick Nielsen mentioned jumping over to the league side. I sit on the board for the league as well. And just yesterday, the league board and the LPC, the league board recommended, the LPC also recommended to put forward a resolution regarding the civility index. So in a couple of weeks when we go to to the league meetings in September, first week or second week in September, on Friday during our business meeting, we will have a chance to vote on this resolution that will encourage all of us as cities to adopt some things about civility in our discourse, in our elections, as well as in our meetings. And we'll have that language you can review. If you get the Friday facts, not all of us get that, but if you get that, you'll start to see that stuff coming out. We'll have a chance to vote on that as a league membership. Dave, I'm happy to report that all 83 cities that are required to turn in their moderate income housing plans, all 83 cities turned them in on time. You'd think that's not a big deal. But last year when we had the deadline of turning in our moderate income housing plans, there were a handful of cities that didn't. And so the state has been watching all cities very closely, and that's actually a really important fact. They are reviewing all of those, and I don't think we've received any word back on ours yet, right? So, yeah, so we'll get that in terms of its acceptance. The important part about the moderate income housing plan now is, one, it details tools that we follow as a city to ensure opportunities for moderate income housing, but also by being compliant to that law with a law that was put into place this last year. Representative White, I believe, was a sponsor of that one. There is some additional funding that can be available for us to use on transportation issues as a compliant city, so that'll be important for us to be compliant. All right, just a quick bit of trivia. Last year, by the middle of October, there were 636 bills that had already received a bill file. The session starts in January, right? I want to say roughly, we'll call it January 15th, a little bit later maybe than the 15th, but around there. And as of October, so what, some 2.5, 3 months before the start of the session, there were already 636 bill files opened. That was a record, and there were a record number of bills passed last year in 45 days. The reason I'm talking about it, you can guess where I'm headed. Well, it's August 15th, and there are 770 bill files opened. That's about 140 more bills 2 months earlier in the process. One report is there are a lot of freshmen senators and representatives, and so there's an eagerness for bills and maybe things they ran on. Of course, not all of those will pass. I think in the end, about 500 bills passed. So you get a sense of the magnitude of things, but this is going to be a busy session. And a lot of issues are already out there. We've heard of a lot of them. Housing, of course, continues to be a big one. But yeah, it'll be active. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Seth. It'll be a busy year of government, and we appreciate the engagement of city staff and elected officials that engage with those levels of government so we can come to the best solutions possible.
Mayor, I just also got a note from Brian saying they have worked around so the UF phone is no longer the one getting our audio, so feel free to have side conversations. I've noticed everybody's kind of spread out, so they aren't even tempted to have a conversation. So they've got the audio worked back in through the feed, so that's good.
Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks again, everybody, for your reports. That takes us to item number 7 on the agenda, the consent items. If there's no questions about the minutes, I would entertain a motion about the consent items.
I move to approve the consent items.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Cardin, seconded by Councilman Argyle to approve the consent items. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Consent items are approved. Takes us to our only public hearing tonight, 8A, ordinance adopting a development agreement for Wasatch Pallet. Mr. Vaughn Piquel.
Mayor and Council, Wasatch Pallet is an established business, well-established Spanish Fork business, and they have agreed to relocate their facility to accommodate the future interchange at Center Street and I-15. They found a site on 1000 North and Depot Road. There's limited sites they could choose from because they needed the rail access so they could import their raw materials, the lumber, to manufacture their pallets. To assist with that relocation, the City Council can consider a development agreement to address some of the unique aspects of their site and some of the rules that would regulate the use and development of that site. One, for example, is they have large trucks in their parking lot. So you can see on that screen there, the site is under construction. It's nearing completion. There's some landscaping and things left to do. If you could go to the landscape plan and show that. This is the plan for the site. Some other issues besides the large trucks in the parking lot, and they would need fewer landscape islands so that the trucks could pass through without so many obstacles in the way. The perimeter precast concrete walls, they've asked that there be no staining required on the inside because they store product or sawdust or lumber or finished pallets up against the wall. So they would ask for no staining on the inside. So the state law allows for development agreements to vary from established standards that we have. If we take the development agreement through the same process you would as if it were a land use regulation, like a development standard or development or construction standards or a zoning text amendment, all those things need the notice and public hearings as like a zone change or something like that. By doing that same process, and that way the development agreement with its unique standards kind of becomes like a legislative development agreement. It's basically the law for that development. And so with those few modifications, the landscape islands in the parking lot, the staining of the fence, the wall, those things are varied in the development agreement, and then adoption of the overall plan with its number of trees and shrubs and grasses and placement of those things. That's what this proposed legislative development agreement would do. Any questions about what we're doing, process, or any details or anything like that?
Any questions for Vaughn about this? Thanks, Vaughn. Before opening it up for public comment, I know the applicant, the property owner's here. Mr. Worthen, anything you want to add to that? Or does it pretty much sum it up? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Argyle, seconded by Councilman Euler to go into public hearing. Roll call vote. Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
Councilman Argyle?
Yes.
Councilman Euler?
Yes.
And Councilman Cardon?
Yes.
We're in public hearing for item 8A. Anybody here from the public that would like to speak to this agenda item?
Hi, my name's Jackie Larson. I just have a question or a concern on the development agreement where it does mention that it was going to require the elimination of the rail spur that serves the old site. Are there any implications to the property owners to the north? So Richard and Janet Erickson, Beanie Sheet Metal right there where the old Anderson Tower used to be, to their property and their ownership to that same spur? Thanks.
Good question. Thank you. Anyone else from the public that would like to speak to this agenda item? I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Cardon, seconded by Councilwoman Beck. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We're out of public hearing for this item. Anybody want to take Ms. Larson's question about the rail spur for a property on Center?
Yeah, the rail spur is on the south side of the railroad tracks, and it was just augmented, made better so that there's two tracks coming, and so shouldn't have a negative effect on any surrounding properties or anyone who currently might have had a right to that spur.
Chris, are you talking about the new location?
Yes.
And she's, I believe,
Were you talking about the old
location?
Okay, so we worked with Union Pacific on the
Abandonment.
on the old railroad spur, and this is the only customer that they had and anticipated having, there's not anyone that has any rights to that spur that could be.
Nope. Not according to Union Pacific. We worked closely with them.
We worked with Union Pacific on that.
Yep.
Any other questions from the council for staff, for Vaughn? The applicant is here as well.
So the only change to landscape was we're removing those islands, correct? And then obviously the painting of the wall.
Right. Basically, that's the main changes. There were more landscape islands. They're basically, in our standards, are spaced every 10 spaces or so.
Right.
And so there's a longer stretch without landscape islands. They keep the ones on the ends at the entrances because that helps protect the parked cars. And then the one kind of midway through. But other than that, they're eliminated. And then the staining of the walls.
On the inside.
Trying to think of
Some
anything else.
fewer, not too many, but some fewer trees and shrubs.
Yeah, the total I got is 79 trees still, 212 5-gallon shrubs, and 399 1-gallon plants and grasses are still being provided.
Is it safe to say that's probably more than what they have at their current location?
Yeah.
So I think we're all right.
A few more, right? Two trees probably there.
I think we're all right.
I think it's safe to say it's more than the landowner wants.
It's creating a forest out there in Palmyra with trees.
But it will be a beautiful site. We're excited for Tom and what he's been able to build over the years. And this is a beautiful site.
And I will add to it, I think from a public perspective, when you have a site like this, I'm not going to estimate, because I'd be off, how many millions of dollars that an applicant has put into this area for obviously his business to operate, but to beautify the city, make it an attractive area. Even though it's an industrial park, this is some heavy equipment operated there and some heavy equipment operating around you, but the willingness to make it the Spanish Fork way, to make it a place that obviously, if I know you don't want a lot of retail people to go out and look at your space, Tom. That's not kind of how you operate. You're not an ice cream shop. You make wood pallets, but I can tell you there is some great care and craftsmanship that's been put into your place, and it shows. So great job. Excited to cut a ribbon on the finished product whenever you want the chamber to come get. She's right in front of you there, so she'll take you up on it any time. But again, it's asked sometimes why an applicant, we give them, hey, come up and speak to us, and it's different than maybe the 3 minutes of the public coming up and speaking in a public hearing. The reason is the property rights of the property owner here, and the dollars time invested into this project. Yeah, we'd ask you to speak to it and help us understand what you're doing. This is commerce that makes it all go around in a city, and so we appreciate your time and attention, your willingness. Obviously, the public's invited to come speak about it, and that's why we have public hearings. But we again take us serious with property owners that want to do something with their property and improve like you have in this area. So thank you. And it shouldn't go without saying, I know Tom's already said this to me, but the partnership with the city in your old location and your new location, reiterate that too. Working with a private entity that way was no small feat, no small task.
It's been a very long time in coming. It's nice to see the final plans and the building be built and the repurpose what the old place was. It's been a very long time, Chris. 10 years now, 8 years now since we started this thing.
Yeah, and Tom's been very patient and a great partner, like you said, Mayor. he has done a lot for this city to make sure that we're going to be able to solve some future transportation problems with the I-15 interchange at Center Street, and to really work with the city to plan ahead and do some things that make sense.
This is something that UDOT doesn't do that. Do I say that well? I mean, like 20 years in advance doing stuff like this.
I think they do it really well. They don't do it often. Just kidding. It was a struggle. I think Chris and I had a conversation about this at least 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was there in the region, and that's been a long time. So it does take a while.
Yeah,
Honestly, UDOT does not think this far ahead very often.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that a potential interchange is coming in. Tom wants to move, or Tom wants to reinvest into the property, and everything finally came together to get him in a better location and make it better for the city and Tom, I think, in general. And it's a good partnership, Mayor. I think you just nailed it. It's when public and private can come together, we can make some magic happen. And this is one of those places where it did. It just took a little bit of time.
Amen.
25 agreements.
And here's the last one. This is a little bit unique with a couple of last ones here, but obviously some things that I still think keep the character of the space and get us down the road with possible intersection there at Center Street on I-15. So thank you everybody that works on it. I'm forecasting it a little bit. I hope somebody proposes the ordinance or the motion so we can vote on it, but I've kind of went down the road saying it's a great thing. That's my opinion, but I don't get a vote. So I'll entertain a motion if somebody's really ready to do that.
Motion to approve ordinance adopting development agreement for Wasatch Ballot.
Motion made by Councilman Argyle.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Beck. This is a roll call vote. Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
Councilman Cardon?
Yes.
And Councilman Euler?
Yes.
And Councilman Argyle?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
Item 8A is approved. Thanks again, everyone. Takes us to item 9A, North Lakes Annexation Acceptance. This is under the new business section.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. As we've done quite a few times in recent years, we're presenting this tonight for the City Council to consider for acceptance that would initiate a study process to further evaluate the prospect of having the subject properties annexed into Spanish Fork. In this case, the area that we're talking about, it's not immediately north of the Intermountain Healthcare Hospital in Spanish Fork, but just a little bit to the north of it. It's what we have outlined there in yellow. I believe it's just under 80 acres. So everybody understand the general area that we're talking about, just east of Interstate 15, in between two different rail lines. Most of the subject properties are. Everything that's included in the proposed annexation is currently in our annexation policy plan and has been for quite some time. There is one small area that's been left out of the annexation proposal that, if the annexation were to be approved as presented tonight, would create an island of land that would be left in Utah County. That's one thing that, as we discussed this in the Development Review Committee meeting last week, we talked about focusing on to try to determine what potentially would make the most sense, rather to have that left in the county or included with this annexation. But by and large, at this point, typically in the process, we haven't done really much research beyond what's done when lands like this are planned for as changes to the city's annexation policy plan and general plan are contemplated. The Development Review Committee did recommend that this annexation proposal be accepted for further study, and that's a recommendation that we have for the council tonight.
Thank you, David. Any questions for Mr. Anderson on this?
Any indication of zoning?
The applicant actually in the Development Review Committee meeting suggested residential, relatively low density residential, not necessarily as what I believe they would ultimately like to use as zoning for their future development plans. I think that is something that I would even suggest probably makes sense to wait to determine until the city gets at least well underway with the general plan project that we've been discussing. We mentioned that in the Development Review Committee meeting last week, that, for example, this process of studying this annexation, it might best proceed in concert from a timing perspective with a review and update of the general plan. I think that easily could be the case. In my opinion, I don't think we do have a really good idea as to ultimately what the exact zoning looks like.
Dave, is the property north of the railroad that's not part of this annexation, is that the growth boundary? Is the railroad the growth boundary, or the policy boundary, I guess?
It is, yes. That actually, I think that has been annexed into Springville. If not, it's in their annexation policy plan, not in ours. We have kind of an odd set of configurations. Springville's future anticipated city boundary and Spanish Forks in this area of both communities, it's never made much sense to me, but it's been that way for quite a while also.
They wanted to race cars in Springville.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Instead of Spanish.
We wouldn't let them. So what would be the zone as it comes in?
I have no idea at this point.
I mean, so
honestly.
we're just not going to name it?
We're just doing study, right?
I think that's a great question, maybe by way of the.
This is accepting for study, not for accepting. Okay,
Right,
sorry.
so, for example, one of the things
I
that
missed
we,
that part.
at the conclusion of some part of the study process, it would go to the planning commission.
Yeah, I know the process.
Okay.
Shane's
We
missed
have a
couple
few months at
meetings,
least
he's
to sort
forgotten
out
his
zoning.
words.
I missed one meeting. Jeez.
This proposal's for the potential annexation
further study.
of 76 acres.
Read the entire paragraph.
One meeting this
Council
month?
member.
Yep.
Easy people.
There's no other questions. I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the North Lakes annexation for further study.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Cardon, seconded by Councilman Euler. Roll call vote here. Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck. Yes. Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
And Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
Item 9A is approved for further study. Takes us to 9B, amending Title 12 regarding construction site maintenance. Hello, Anna.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This ordinance proposes an amendment to Title 12, Chapter 4, and is regarding construction site maintenance. There is a need for this ordinance so we can have the developers, the owners, or the builders of site constructions to keep that as neat as possible, as clean as possible. Sometimes trash and debris can fly away, escape that construction area, and this ordinance actually obligates these people to remove that trash or debris from nearby property, but if they have permission from the owner of the property or the occupant of the property. A violation of this ordinance would be would have some sanctions like withholding the inspections, or it will result on prosecution as a Class C misdemeanor in court. Also, it may result in fines.
Perfect.
Any questions?
Any questions for Anna on this?
Is this the follow-up from our last meeting? Is that what this is? I assume. No.
Feels like, is this a follow-up for our last meeting where we had a video that there was some debris going
Yes,
all over the place?
this is different from that, but we have had circumstances. Yeah, those same winds will blow other trash off of construction sites, subdivisions, site plans, and even individual lots that are under construction, right? Seth showed me a photo of a entire corrugated storm drain pipe that was in somebody's field, left the site of a subdivision. And then there's, like the house wrap and packages of shingles that fly around, and they have a tendency to leave the site. So We want the contractors, the developers, the builders to clean up.
So will this be, I guess, part of the pre-construction? Let them know that this is something we're going to be enforcing. And we know the winds blows in Salt Lake or in Spanish Fork. And I know that's part of the reasons, but I can't count the calls I've made on behalf of landowners who live next to these developments. Go clean their crap up. It's frustrating because, and they've been some good to do it, some's not, but they need to be aware of this.
Sure.
I don't know how we do that, but they need to be aware that this is serious stuff. Our neighbors are getting trashed.
Yeah, and I think it really devalues what the farmer is doing. So let's, if there's an alfalfa field right next door and they've got all this stuff as they cut their hay, they have to deal with this. Certainly if there's a home across the street, that neighbor is dealing with it as stuff blows into their yard. So it's an unfortunate thing. I think through this process, I've learned a new favorite term, which is fugitive trash. I think that's a great term. And,
Well, I think when you go through these developments, most of the time they have a dumpster on every single site of home. So it's not like they don't have a place to put the trash.
they have to have a dumpster, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
Hey, Vaughn or Anna, I'm just reading section 2. The effective date, this ordinance shall become effective 20 days after passage and publication. Can you define or explain what publication is?
Publications where the city recorder publishes that this ordinance has been passed, right? You post it on the state public meeting website, and that's the publication that this is now an effective law.
Thank you.
Can it be sooner?
It can be. You can specify an exact date. We've done that in certain circumstances where it was important to have a start date. For example, like I think it was like the library fees. We wanted to start January 1, and so we specified January 1st. But this is kind of the typical language for ordinance effective date.
Are we catching enough of the construction season, I guess, that'd be my question.
20 days from now?
Yeah, 20 days from now, that you're catching enough of it to try to enforce it?
Well, this season, I guess, is winding down a little bit, but this is there's no wind.
Keeps going.
Yeah.
We really haven't in recent years. We have seen very little drop off because of seasonality in recent years.
Well, there's always a need, I guess.
Well, I think the part that stands out to me when I read that is withholding inspections. That time is money in these developments and these construction projects. And so if it's, hey, I need an inspection so we can get the next phase of this project going, and it's, well, you got to clean that stuff up before it's inspected. I see that as a pretty big stick to get that done before we're having to send cops out for misdemeanors.
I think it's fairly common, and especially in the building construction, the building permit phase, that if there's a messy site and it's, unsafe for the inspector to be on site, then they'll just say, stop, clean this up, call me when you're ready for an inspection.
My last two questions, Anna, you'll maybe defer to Chris on this, but how does this differ from SWIP? SWIP is I know that's more stormwater, right? But that's with people taking stuff off of a construction site, and maybe that deals just more with mud in the road and getting in the storm drain.
Yeah, we actually have used our SWIP inspectors to kind of go after people with garbage leaving their site, and so that's another way to enforce this. That being said, they're more concerned with storm drain, so if it blows into a neighbor's yard, this will help out with that better.
Lastly, I think it's important what Seth brought up. This is, I hope this does help Chad, who you're talking about, the farmers that are calling, just trying to bale some hay, cut some crops right now. A bunch of plastic in their stuff is not good for anybody.
Gives it some teeth, right?
Yep. I've said my piece. Anything else, Stacy? Councilwoman Beck? You like it?
I like it.
Okay. If there's no other questions for Anna or comments from the council, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance amending Title 12 regarding construction site maintenance.
Motion made by Councilman Argyle.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Cardon. A roll call vote here. Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
And Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
Item 9B is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that. Takes us to 9C, resolution adopting an airport fuel policy and amending the fee schedule. Mr. Chris Thompson.
Okay, we've had some fire issues at the airport and over the last several years, and working with our new fire marshal and some of the FAA's best practices, we've come up with a list of regulations that how fuel should be stored or handled on the airport, and have those in this ordinance and resolution. And then we want to apply something that we used very successfully some years ago with fire hydrants. So we had a problem where lots of contractors mostly would basically take water from our hydrants without a permit. And our previous city attorney had heard that in other municipalities, instead of making that a crime where you can be cited and fined and go through some sort of judicial process to collect back, which usually takes a lot more time and money, effort than is worth it, they came up with what is called an administrative fee. So what we did is we passed a fee, adopted a fee that said, if you take water from our fire hydrant without a permit, without authorization, it'll cost you $1,000. That's how much we charge. When you take water without a permit, then it costs you $1,000. And now it's a fee that can be charged, and you can avoid the judicial process of citing them and taking them, to court in some fashion, and to punish them for stealing that water, if you will. Anyway, we are proposing a similar type of thing here at the airport. If someone brings in fuel unsafely or without a permit or violates one of these issues that are required for fuel on the ramp, then that is an unauthorized use of that fuel or handling of that fuel. And unauthorized handling of the fuel or bringing it onto the airport without reporting it, the airport actually receives a kind of a tax on all the fuel that's sold to help run the airport, and it's called a flowage fee. If someone brings in unauthorized fuel, uses it, doesn't report it, then that flowage fee is not charged. It gives them an unfair advantage over FBOs that are paying that flowage fee, and that's another reason why we don't want unauthorized fuel. So we've developed this fee. It's unauthorized fuel on the airport fee of $1,000, and we feel like it'll be just as effective as what this unauthorized hydrant use fee has been over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's really made it so it's not a problem anymore. And so we think it will have a similar effect here. But this is what this resolution does.
So this isn't going to affect, like, say, when we have fires and we got helicopters and they bring in their own fuel truck. They just need to have to properly do that, correct?
Yeah, they need to get a permit. We have an online permit. They can use their phone, do the permit, make sure they're following all the safety guidelines that we've worked out with the FAA and with our fire marshal. It makes sure that all the flowage fees are being paid, all of the things that should be done, making us aware of the fuel. Our hope is to never charge this fee. but it is a very good incentive to discourage people from sneaking fuel in, storing it in hangars where it shouldn't be, causing a very, very dangerous fire hazard. And it's a very good incentive to kind of clean that up.
What are you doing with the nickel, Chris?
The flowage fee?
Yeah.
So that just goes into the airport budget to pay for operations at the airport.
Both the FBO and the city part.
So the FBO charges that nickel per gallon, and so that's part of our budget. For
that stays in the airport budget?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions for Chris on this ordinance? If not, I'd entertain a motion for item C.
What are they getting me for? I move to approve the resolution adopting an airport fuel policy and amending the fee schedule.
Second. Motion made by Councilman Marshall, seconded by Councilman Argyle. Abe comes before O and the tie. Okay. And it's a roll call vote. Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
Councilman Cardon?
Yes.
Councilman Euler?
Yes.
Councilman Argyle?
Yes.
Item C is approved. Takes us to item D, ordinance amending sections 15.4, 16, 20, and 15.4, 80 of the Spanish Fork Municipal Code pertaining to the notices of pioneering intent.
Okay, I'll explain. This is for the next two items on the agenda. But basically, we have somewhat explosive growth going on at the north end of the city, where a lot of infrastructure is being pioneered. And if you are a developer and you need to run water lines or sewer lines several blocks to where you want to build your building, you want to be reimbursed for all the land along the way when they develop and connect onto those lines. The problem occurs that right now, when we wait until you're done building those lines, they're inspected, they're passed off, they're accepted by the city, you give the actual cost of those lines, and then we sign what's called a pioneering agreement. You pioneered the infrastructure through that area of town, and we promise you that when your neighbors build their buildings and connect onto that water line, they'll pay you back for their share of that water line. The problem occurs is when you're in the process of building it and then your neighbor starts building and is unaware that these costs are coming. And so what we are proposing here is if you have bonded for your project, so we now have bond money saying, yeah, they'll build that water line. So we have a guarantee it's going to be built. We can now, at their request, record a notice of pioneering intent, which basically says that there is a infrastructure project being proposed and bonded for that's going to build that water line. And then that notice is attached to the property. It's not a lien. But what it does is it says there is some obligations that are coming if you want to develop your property, because that water line's going to be there, so, or that sewer or what other infrastructure it is. So that's what these two ordinances kind of put in place to make sure that as soon as possible, people can be aware of the projects that are coming and what kind of obligations that attaches to your land if you want to develop your land.
So Chris, are you saying developers didn't know that that was an obligation? Have we ran into problems?
Yeah, you'd be surprised what they fight against.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Okay. Interesting.
Well,
Okay.
one example we had just a few moments ago, as Wasatch Pallet was doing their work as they widened 10th North, putting
Right.
utilities, running them from a place west or east of them toward 300 West out to their site. As they had started their work, they did that with an expectation of having a pioneering agreement. But before they were done, And before their final numbers were done, somebody across the street started doing development. And then they just figured that the utilities were there. And so this gives us the ability to give notice as early as possible of this is here, this is what you need to expect. And even though it may be 6 months, a year, or 18 months before all of that's finalized because of the time required in the processes. It really gives us the ability to give a heads up to everybody in the area and involved what may be coming as they look to develop. Because once utilities go in, it seems to change the nature of what the properties around there feel about doing.
So, for example, that neighbor, when they would have come and applied for a building permit, or their initial interaction with the city,
Yeah, their site plan.
would they have been notified at that time? Like
Not-
at what time are they
Not
notified?
according to yesterday's policies, but with this one, hopefully, right?
Yeah, so since the work was still being done, there was no agreement for pioneering in place. And so until there's an agreement of something in place, we haven't attached anything to the land. And usually the neighbor might know, that water line was just put in recently, I imagine I need to pay for it. But usually their land's for sale, you have lots of developers looking at the land, they're doing the research on the land. If there's nothing attached to that, they might work out a pro forma which shows profitability, not knowing that they have to pay for some of that water line. And there's lots of land along streets that don't have pioneering agreements. Either they weren't applied for, or the water line was put so long ago that there's nothing attached there. So it's not obvious always that, okay, I have a pioneering agreement for the infrastructure here, so.
I like it then. I say we approve it. What do you all think? Let's move this along.
We're not relying on that developer to do it. We're taking the lead on making those notices out to people.
They have to apply for it, and then we'll record it and we'll take it off. But this protects them. If they don't apply for it, and a lot of developers don't apply for pioneering agreements, we warn them, we tell them, but they have a certain time frame to do it, and if they don't, then they don't.
They don't have the right for those reimbursed costs.
And so if you don't apply for this notice of intent, and the city does not charge the next developers. Let's say you started, but you're really slow, and we did have this instance. A new developer comes in, and they get built and are all done. There is a good chance the city might not charge the fee, and this helps with the liability of that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Makes it clearer.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions for Chris or any other staff on item D? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the ordinance amending sections 15.4.16.20 and 15.4.80 of the Spanish Fork Municipal Code pertaining to the notices of pioneering intent.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Euler, seconded by Councilwoman Beck. A roll call vote here. Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Item D is approved. Takes us to item E.
Very similar, it just kind of sets who can sign these and record them. Seth doesn't want to be involved with recording these notices of intent and unrecording them, but he does want to be involved with signing the actual pioneering agreements, which is a significant agreement. And so those are signed by city manager and public works director, but kind of gives the assignment of recording these notices and then unrecording them, if you will, to the public works director.
I like it. What's the other option? Me signing it?
If you want.
Let's
I'm
not do
fine.
that.
We're fine with
I
that
think you
too.
want to sign some more.
Nope. Sounds great to me. If anybody wants to make a motion for that.
Motion to approve resolution authorizing the city manager to execute pioneer agreement and reimbursement agreements.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Argyle, seconded by Councilman Euler. A roll call vote here. Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
Councilman Argyle?
Yes.
Councilman Euler?
Yes.
And Councilman Cardon?
Yes.
Item is approved. I saw the Planning Commission talking about that over a period of time, so appreciate their good work on that and all the other stuff that we talked about tonight. Okay, any other items that need to come before this body before we have a motion to adjourn to closed session? Okay, if not, I'd entertain that motion.
I move to go into closed session for land transactions and strategic sessions to discuss pending or reasonable imminent litigation.
Motion made by Councilman Cardon.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Argyle. Roll call vote. Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilman Cardon.
Yes.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it.